All right, guys, this is it. This is the condensed, boiled down version of how I've been able to get back to the best health I've really actually ever had after being at the worst health I was ever at just a couple years ago and definitely a year ago. So this is the quick learning, quick understanding, and hopefully quick remembering of how our systems like to work, need to work, and how we can support them. So we all have this dualistic polarity in our hormones within all of us. We have testosterone and estrogen, and each of us also releases cortisol every morning. So let's just jump right in. When we wake up in the morning, the hypothalamus is our master gland, and it communicates with your nervous system that wakes you up and with your hormones that has been recuperating all night, and it decides what's in balance, what's backed up, what needs done that day biologically. So it will set a circadian rhythm. It will set a basic metabolic rate for you that day, just based on how sensitive or balanced those two are upon waking and how well you recovered the night before. So the nervous system and all of this masculine themed energy is yang. So we have yin and yang, we have feminine and masculine, we have right brain, left brain, we have estrogen, testosterone, moon and sun, we have water and fire. So we have 1 month cycles, 24-hour cycles. Yes, pineal gland, pituitary gland. So everything is polarity. Everything works with and off of one another, and everyone has a job. So we have raw foods, cooked foods. Cooked foods are really good for assimilating energy quickly, so that's why it's really good for critical thinking left brain. It's problem solving, calculating, measuring, interpreting, processing. It takes a lot of calories and brain power, so you need cooked foods. The more colors, the better, but definitely orange and green to promote just basic structure. Orange foods are really good for strength, and green foods are really good for evening out disposition within both of these regions, but definitely the masculine. We have amino acids and fatty acids. We have protein and fats. We have metals that promote ATP. We have fight or flight, rest and digest, adrenaline, vagus nerve. We have the yang that is really centers around fight or flight. And adrenaline is something that is instantaneous. It gives you instant energy and a quick drive, because all of these themes are Mars, Venus and Mars, heat, action, fire, sun, Mars. If you are into astrology, not a lot of people are, I understand, but some people understand what I mean by Saturn and Uranus ruling the masculine signs. They're malefic, and Saturn is the task manager and Uranus is the future. So every day we're literally working physically towards the future, and there's all kinds of energy that we can assimilate from the things on this side. Salt really boosts critical thinking, neurological activity. So thinking and problem solving is very masculine. The nervous system also really needs tryptophan to calm the nerves. And tryptophan is a precursor for melatonin, which buffers adrenaline. Definitely get good proteins, amino acids. That is going to create your new DNA. So everything works off of electricity. Everything is electric because we are electric. So we need a lot of vitamins to supplement all of this heat and this fire and this Mars and action drive. So during the day, we use our pineal gland to visually set out our sights on a task to get it done. When you're driving and have your destination in mind, that's the pineal gland working. So endorphins are really good for the physical yang. It brings therapeutic benefits, and it's also a pain reliever. So it's really good to push oxygen and new blood to new muscles and new tissues. Therapeutic. Dopamine is that quick, again, instantaneous hit of reward that you get to just get you through long enough for a quick release so that you can get back to doing what you need to do. Everything about the masculine is instantaneous, it's rapid fire, and it burns very hot. So salt is very alkalizing. So we have alkaline and acidic. And salt is necessary for neurological firing, but you need to have a high quality salt without microplastics in it. It's not super processed and refined, and you need to not oversalt. So we don't want to have a spiked blood pressure or hypertension from sodium or too much sodium. That will be hard on the adrenals and cause fight or flight. That'll cause you to wake up at night. Anything insomnia related is adrenal related, but the adrenals take a cue from the things in your diet. So these metals are very important for stimulating fight or flight. And make sure you're getting lithium. Lithium is really good for just mood stabilization during the day. Again, slow releasing energy. Quercetin, that's going to be in things that have a lot of antioxidants that bring new pathways for oxygen to come through. So that's really good for the brain. Both of those are really good for the brain, and lithium is actually given to people with ADD, ADHD, any kind of chronic brain neurological kind of thing. They're also giving oxytocin for people with ADHD and these kind of neurological personality disorders. So we're going to talk about zinc, because zinc is always connected to testosterone, and zinc produces ATP, which zinc is a metal and ATP is an electrical output energy. So literally the ATP is your biological age, and your mitochondria is your biological age, how much energy you feel you have, how quickly you recover, how young you feel, how young you look. Everything to do with longevity has to do with promoting healthy, enlivened, supported, nourished mitochondria that need an electrical signal. So we do need a certain amount of trace minerals in our diet, but one of the most acidic and accumulative is copper, and we'll get into that in just a moment. But testosterone and zinc help one another. Zinc is antibacterial, antifungal, antiviral, antimicrobial. So it's good for anything to do with Mars, and it clears out anything to do with the root chakra. So your basic immune system, zinc clears that out. Otherwise, your adrenal system is always going, and you're never getting in rest and digest in the night. So make sure you're getting enough zinc to just clear out your basic immune system so that you can downshift into rest. And then potassium and zinc work in tandem a lot in a lot of foods, the healthiest foods really out there. A lot of green, white, and like light green foods. So celery, avocado, cucumber, cabbage, cauliflower. Potassium and zinc together are amazing, and they create this eco-hybrid, cool burning fuel for your body. So that's where endurance comes from, and that's where a healthy libido comes from. So potassium is also known as the green spinning salt, an incredibly hydrating mineral and electrolyte that we have to bind with fats to even assimilate and absorb. So potassium is this cool burning endurance fuel that actually is relieving and nourishing for all this Mars and this Yang. And zinc actually clears up all the sinuses, the taste and smell and mental clarity and mental cognition. All has to do with zinc. The systems of the body associated with the masculine are the nervous system, muscular system, skeletal system. These are the ones that get us literally out of bed in the morning, right after waking. Immune system, which has to work hard all day the more that we interact in the world. The excretory system, which is also known as your urinary system, how we release all of the things over here that we don't need that are water soluble. And actually the excretory system's job is to balance out the healthy pH of your body, which is fat to water ratio, so that urinary system that rules the kidneys. It's deciphering between nutrients, fats, waters, how much goes where, and that is really affected by blood sugar. But also the cardiovascular system works really hard. It pumps all the nourishment from our heart to our blood, and that oxygen and nutrients gets taken to every organ in the body. So the cardiovascular system naturally pumps automatically, but it is helpful to get aerobic exercise to get that pumping faster. New oxygen, new blood, all the new places promotes longevity. Just make sure you're not triggering the adrenals during your workout, because that will induce just more burnout. You want to have a healthy sweat just to get things moving around. Yoga, walking, dancing, swimming, all these are really good relaxing aerobic exercises that don't trigger the adrenals, like running and competitive sports and things like that, if you're sensitive to anything adrenal. So we definitely want to be able to set up the hardest part of the day to win with lots of vitamins, proteins, amino acids, definitely B vitamins, B6, folate, lithium. If you struggle with any kind of brain, personality, any kind of disorder, you can get that from root vegetables and starches, nightshades, peppers and tomatoes. Lithium also comes in coriander and cumin seeds. So there's a lot of seeds and nuts that have some of these nutrients in them. I'm a big plant-based person, but I know a lot of people do carnivore. So if you are an elimination diet or carnivore diet right now, make sure you're just getting a full amount of B vitamins and CoQ10, organ meats, and things like that, because that is the basis of creating electric transport chains for your heart that creates energy for mitochondria. And mitochondria also, I don't know if everyone knows this, but you have the cell and then you have the mitochondria. And in the mitochondria, you have your DNA, all different strands of your DNA hanging out. So it's kind of this Russian doll effect, but we need to have healthy mitochondria and ATP production from these nutrients to have healthy cells. And when the healthy cell is alive and the organism becomes more complex, it needs to have a coolant and it needs to have a stimulator and something to get it revved up again. So feminine, subconscious, creative, dreams, ethereal, feminine, softness and yumminess. And we have to have these two, for lack of a better word, kick-ass nutrients to either upshift or downshift this whole side of our body, really, but all these systems that like to hold on to things for a long, long time, because it does have a two-way effect. You can be deficient in these minerals, you can be stable and balanced, or you can be toxic and overaccumulated. So it doesn't really happen with all of these water-soluble vitamins, but you can overaccumulate in especially copper, only really copper. All of these other ones you will definitely just urinate out or just get rid of naturally, but copper is one of those metals that is like aluminum. It likes to stick and stay and store in fatty tissues, especially the liver. Okay, we're gonna have to stimulate the vagus nerve for this whole system to work. Insulin, carbohydrates, sugar inhibit this whole system from working, period. So there's that. But also, if you're just eating like a pure raw vegan diet that's really high in fruit, then you're going to have a lot of copper and not a lot of sulfur. Again, if you eat a lot of processed foods, you're going to get a lot of sugar, a lot of copper, not a lot of sulfur, not a lot of fiber or silica or plant cellulose. That's just pure water trying to go through your system and declog. So you need raw food to have enzymes, probiotics, that plant cellulose that acts as fiber. Iodine is really, really balancing for your hormones and for your tissues in general. But it's very heavy in just like ocean diets, Asian diets, Mediterranean diets, where they're close to the ocean and they are eating seaweed and fish with different nutrients in it that really promote iodine. So get your trace minerals. I actually like the brand Trace is it Trace Mineral brand? I think it's just Trace Elements. They're a Utah brand, and their electrolyte stamina is the bomb. It has kelp, iodine, it has boron, it has B vitamins. It's my favorite. It's probably the reason I'm alive, because all of my issues in my entire life with health have been insulin related, and I thought I had an iron deficiency literally my entire life from 8 years old to 32, and the entire time it was an iodine deficiency. So I'm actually going to read through iodine deficiency symptoms, okay? So fatigue, lethargy, unexpected weight gain, brain fog, memory problems, depression, dry skin, irregular menstrual cycles, infertility, pregnancy problems, breast, prostate problems, thyroid problems, goiter, cold hands and feet. And it treats ADD, ADHD, asthma, fibrocystic breast disease, cancer, diabetes, excessive mucus production, autoimmune, headaches, hypertension, infections, liver disease, PCOS, keloids, which are scars, ovarian, thyroid disorders, and so much more, you guys. They create the T3 and T4 proteins in our thyroid that actually regulate internal temperature. So iodine is really important for just being adaptive and having a healthy hormonal system, tissue system that's able to withstand a lot of change really quickly. So that's one of the aspects of the feminine that's really great. It's very adaptive. That's why it holds on to things for a long time, no matter the quality, because it always has to sustain and have things just in case for nourishing and detoxing and recovering. So it really doesn't like to do a lot of quality control. It's more like quantity. That's why it's very acidic. And over here on the masculine side, it's literally the opposite. It's more like quality, and then that sustains you through the day. So quality does matter for the day, and then quantity is something that this feminine subconscious side of our whole biology is always going to want to cling and hold on and make sure it's safe, okay? So fatty acids, healthy fats, poly and monounsaturated fats, minerals, electrolytes, omega-3s, CoQ10, iodine, fiber. All right, and then if you need to hack this system, you can take 5-HTP. That will regulate light in your system and will actually make you produce more of the melatonin. All right, and make sure that you are getting your amino acids, tryptophan, calming the nervous system, and tyrosine, which is getting your body kind of cleared and cleaned up. And that produces and catalyzes melanin, which is protection, which is something that that is the product. Melanin is the reward and the product of having a good cycle of good digestion, good hormones, and enough rest and digest. That will promote more melanin. And that will come through skin darkening. So melanin is the skin darkener and melatonin is a skin lightener. So make sure you're getting enough sleep, enough D3. That will promote rest and digest, melatonin. And then make sure at night your room is completely dark so that your body can synthesize and make this melatonin. Can't do it unless it's completely dark, pitch black, no clocks, no phones. So do that. And then when you need a little bit of a vagus nerve stimulation, get your D3. That's a hormone. And that works to clear up all this acidity, all of this congestion that gets bound up. So estrogen is always linked with copper, and copper and estrogen are always linked together, and they're always linked with Venus. Venus is sweets, it's benevolence, it's softness, sweetness. And so we really do need a certain amount of stimulation. So that's why we need to have enough of these minerals and electrolytes so that they can actually support all of this feminine energy without having to reach for insulin or sugar. If you are getting all of your 20 amino acids or the essential 9, but definitely the full 20, you are going to curb all of your cravings. Full 20 amino acid profile curbs cravings, and especially the essential 9. Okay, so if you are craving sugar, get some quality protein and get some full profile amino acids. Chia seeds are a great, cheap, affordable, accessible option and has all the amino acids, all the fatty acids you need. We're really busting out the rainbows right now. And so copper and estrogen are always bound together, but so is sulfur and copper. Sulfur and copper work in tandem just like potassium and zinc because copper is electric and it's so powerful and accumulative and acidic that it needs something just as powerful like sulfur, which is also known as MSM, and break even the most congested parts of your tissues down with this volcanic digestive salt that actually makes way and dissolves everything so that new oxygen can come in, new blood can all hit the new tissues, and there can actually be more mobility too. So you need sulfur in your diet for there to be any collagen. If you are eating a high insulin diet or a low fiber diet or a low iodine diet, you will see saggy skin, you will see premature aging. Okay, if you want to reverse aging, get your omega-3s, get your sulfur, garlic, and grapefruit, get your poly and monounsaturated fats, avocado, coconut, olives, okay? These will bind with toxic hormones and toxic metals in the fats. After you have absorbed or the good minerals from these fats, those fats will bind with toxic chemicals and hormones and push it through your digestive system and your bowel system. That's actually why you feel so good when you have a bowel movement, because you have just released all of this excess estrogen, because that's how we release. And estrogen is how we feel. So when we're backed up, we're literally emotionally backed up. So if you need to regulate emotions more, you need more sulfur, you need more iodine, you need more fiber in your diet. You need less sugar, you need less copper, for sure. You need more rest and digest, and you can't get rest and digest with insulin, sugar, or carbs. Can't. So we feel really good when we work out, euphoria throughout the physical body. And then we get a euphoric feeling when we have a bowel movement and we actually burn off both of these hormones in those ways. We burn off testosterone through physical activity, and we burn off estrogen through releasing through fats, through the gallbladder, through our bowels, okay? All right, I hope that all makes sense, okay? We all need comfort. We all need mood boosters. There are different ways to do it. If you have any questions about your health, this chart, how you can bridge the two, please email me. I'm just going to go over the very last part of this chart. If you have made it this far, that's great. Thank you so much for being here. That is really the general overview of our hormones. Now we're going to jump to the 12 systems of the body. And we're going over this because it's pivotal for people to also understand that there are 12 months of the year, 12 systems of the body, and that lines up every month for nature to release a specific mineral that the biosphere and our biology really needs at that time. So it's going to emphasize release, and we're going to absorb as much as we can that mineral for that month, for that system, for that time of the year. So foods rich in that mineral for that month, foods rich in iron for the endocrine system. That's going to be in February, because guess what? There's also 12 zodiac, and endocrine system rules the feet, and the feet and endocrine system are ruled by Pisces, February. So I'm going to go down the line, all of our 12 systems and what sign they're associated with, I'm not going to do what month, because you guys, if you know astrology, you know that the cusp is on the 22nd. So it's kind of mid-month that they change, but literally all of these minerals line up month for month. So I'm going to go through them all and show you what part of the body, an organ of the body, also rules that mineral. So we have the nervous system is Aries, and that is March, the spring equinox. That's the head, the pineal gland, the cerebrum, and that is potassium phosphate. So that's where we assess danger. That's all frontal cortex, fight or flight, adrenaline. So we have muscular system, Cancer. That's the chest, breast, visceral area, calcium fluoride. We have the skeletal system. That's Capricorn. Bones, knees, calcium phosphate, okay? Immune system, sinuses, arms, potassium chloride, and that is Gemini. And then we have the fall equinox, Libra, and that is excretory system, the kidneys, also rules the ears, and that's sodium phosphate. So cardiovascular system, the heart, the blood, that's Leo, and that's magnesium phosphate, the lion heart. So we have Aries, Cancer, Capricorn, Gemini, Libra, and Leo. Nervous Aries, muscular Cancer, skeletal Capricorn, immune system Gemini, excretory system Libra, cardio system Leo. We have endocrine system, which rules the feet. It's governed by iron phosphate or ferrum phosphate, and that is Pisces. Lymphatic system, that is the neck, pituitary gland, that is the throat and the base of the skull where the cerebellum is, and that's sodium sulfate. So the lymphatic's a tricky one. Everyone that does yoga probably remembers that we have to pump lymphatic systems manually. It's not automatic like the cardiovascular system, and it really holds on to a lot of chemicals because this is also where we get our white blood cells for our immunity. It's where it begins. So that really has to be clear and drained regularly, at least once a month. We have the integumentary system, that's Sagittarius, that rules the skin and the fascia, and that's ruled by Silica. Got digestive system, which is the stomach pretty much till the bowels, but it's ruled by the gut, and that is Virgo. That's potassium sulfate. We have the reproductive system, which rules the adrenals and also the groin area. That's Scorpio, and that's calcium sulfate. And then the respiratory system that we talked about earlier, lungs. That is also where water weight is stored in the ankles. That is sodium chloride, salt water, and that is Aquarius. Okay. So we are in our mother's wombs for 9 of the 12 months of the year. So each of us is naturally 3-month deficient in 1 of or 3 of these minerals. So you take the month you're born, your sun sign, your sun month, and the 2 months after, and that is going to be your cornerstone of health, the area of the year and of your systems and your biology where you're just naturally a little bit more deficient, where you need just a little bit more supplementation, and where you're naturally going to see gaps in your health first. So for me, I'm an Aries. I was born on the cusp of March. So I am Aries nervous system, Taurus lymphatic system, and Gemini immune system. Those are my 3 minerals that I am deficient. So potassium phosphate, sodium sulfate, and potassium chloride. I'm going to put list of foods up on the screen for everyone and anyone that wants to know the different months. Please pause and look at this, take notes if you want. There's books written about all of this. I will put that up as well. This is not my work. This is work. This is my work, and this is the way I got there. So this is definitely something that was popular in the 80s, 90s, and definitely like 100 years ago. But this is definitely something you can buy books on. So if you know what month or what sign you are, look up the 3 months you're deficient, get those foods in your diet, and supplement yourself according to this chart based on your temperament, your lifestyle, your genetics, your constitution, all the things that make you you. Do your own homework on everything. Check everything through some kind of knowledge database. There are errors out there, and the only reason I'm putting this out is because I have lived it for a year, and before that, I saw the gaps in this of what I was doing wrong for 30 years before that, so I am confident. But yes, do your own homework, get the books you want to read on this if you want, and I hope you guys rest, digest, and live the quality of life you really do deserve. I love you all so much. Aloha, aloha. It's so fitting to have a rainbow on here. Thank you guys so much for listening, and I hope you guys start to thrive. All my love, and take care.